Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the medium frequency. I am one of your lovely hosts. My name is Raven Wolfe. And for those of you that come to our show weekly, you will notice that this evening I have a very unique, fun guest to introduce to you all. I have Rez, and I'm going to go ahead and have Rez come on up.
Hey everyone, how's it going, Raven?
Hi, Rez. How are you?
Doing pretty good. A little tired from the weekend, but I'm hanging in there.
That's
Thank you for having
good.
me on.
I've been really excited about having you as a guest on the show. I've heard many good things about you, and
Oh,
there's a lot I don't know about you. So, this is a great opportunity for everyone watching to get to know you, but also for me to ask you a million questions.
that's fine. I'm an open book.
Awesome. So, how did the paranormal start for you? What were some of those
Well,
experiences?
basically ever since a kid. I grew up in a household of spiritualists. Both my parents were ministers in a spiritualist religion and psychic mediums. So when you grow up like that, you tend to have houses that are always haunted because spirits are going to come in and have someone to communicate with. So growing up that way, the paranormal was just second nature to me. And years of living like that, watching the shows on TV, calling BS, I finally decided one day to step out into the world of the paranormal and start my career.
That's awesome. And I do know that you are a part of a tribe. Can you tell us a little more about your
Yep.
tribe? And yeah,
I'm a enrolled member of the Stockbridge Muncie Band of Mohicans. You know, right out of Wisconsin. Our original homelands are out in the New York, Massachusetts area, and we're still living, still going. Basically, I joke around and say we're the last of the Mohicans. You know, because
that's
everyone
awesome.
because of that book, everyone thinks we're all gone, but we're still here.
That's so funny. Um, I remember in college reading that book. I believe it was a book, and
Yeah,
uh, my friends would always crack jokes when they couldn't find something about it, the book itself, and so it always stuck with me. So yeah,
yeah, book turned movie. I believe it was Daniel Day Lewis was the lead actor in or something like that. So a
yeah,
little love story, not totally accurate as far as historical, but still a good story.
that's awesome. Where would you say some of the inaccuracies were?
About some of the stuff that as our people that what we did, they kind of just took native in general
Hmm.
and told the story. So there's like some of the weapons that they said we used weren't ours. Might have been the Mohawks used it, but we didn't. You know, things like that, and just the way things were basically handled by the tribal structures.
That makes sense.
You know, basically,
W-
like I said, it was a love story.
oh, okay. Yeah, that does make sense. I mean, sometimes movies take things in different directions than what the original
You know,
story is for sure. Um, how would you say that being within the tribe has helped you within, like, do you use the ancestral roots and the things that you've learned from the tribe to help within the paranormal and metaphysical work you do?
yeah, actually, I one thing, the biggest things to me is when I go into an investigation, especially at a new location, I always give tobacco first. I go, I connect to the spirits of the land, spirits of the location. I give that tobacco to honor them, to let them know I'm there in peace. I'm there to be a voice for them, let them know that they haven't been forgotten, and give them a chance to let their stories be told. And then also, as far as in the metaphysical, being so in tune with nature, I've learned to draw my energy from nature itself. So whether it's grounding or just going out and just absorbing whatever I can to replenish myself and living that hand in hand and protecting nature kind of goes with it and builds something unique within inside of me that was given to me by my culture. And then also I've noticed when I go on these travels, pretty much everywhere I've gone where there's been a heavy native preference in history, I've ended up picking a few more guides up. So I have a whole tribe of mixed matched tribes that come together and follow me around this country, no matter where I go. So I know I'm protected.
Yeah, I could, I've always thought that tribes that I've met, people from different tribes that I've met, have had beautiful ways of honoring the souls and the different energies that are in locations that perhaps some people do not have a background of, so they don't know that that's something that they could do,
Correct.
essentially. Um, when you started out with the paranormal and you started out with, well, let's start with the paranormal. When you started out with the paranormal, what are some experiences that you have had on different investigations that have really stood out for you?
Um, One of them is a location up in Menominee, Michigan. We had my former team that I used to belong to. We had a team member that had a house that was haunted. They brought us in. Prior to me being on the team, doing an investigation, they got some evidence, but they weren't really sure exactly which way to go, what it was, 100%. They were thinking there's maybe an elemental there or something along them lines. And then fast forward a little bit, they decided after I joined the team, they decided to do like a Halloween live there. And while we were there, me and the other mediums kind of they're fairly new to the team, along with myself. Somehow we just kind of clicked. And next thing you know, the veil was lifted to the point where we realized there was a brave that at the time we were calling the chief. Here to find out he didn't like being called that, so we'll just call him a brave. He was there protecting the land because the land was blood soaked, and
Mm.
he was really hurt, really upset for being here for all these centuries. And we uncovered he wanted us to heal the land, and there the other ones were like, well, how do we heal the land as blood soaked? And out of nowhere, I'm like, well, you plant a fruit tree. You put a plant into the ground that gives life, and it's going to help that land out. So we ended up going back another time, healing the land some. A lot of the activity died down. Of course, there's still going to be some, but it put a lot of ease on the location and on the land itself.
Wow. So is planting a fruit tree a form of planting new life in the area so that it blesses the land?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Exactly. It's
Okay.
going to bless it. It's going to kind of filter it, and it's going to breathe that new life into there. That's going to sustain not only the land, but to sustain the critters, human life. It gives back, doesn't just take from the land.
Okay. So when is there a reason that chiefs prefer to be called braves?
This particular one, he didn't. We thought he was a chief, but he really wasn't. So, for lack of a better terminology, that's where I consider him be a brave.
Mm-hmm.
We he it was a weird situation because he felt like a chief. He kind of appeared like a chief, like he was dominant like that, but he didn't like being called chief. That's what we came out through all our investigations there.
That makes sense. And actually, that's a really beautiful explanation of how the land could be blessed, because sometimes people don't think of those types of things that could maybe create new energy where it's giving back to that specific area.
Yeah, and in our culture, you take something, you give something back. So even if you go out and you're cutting sumac down because you use sumac to make a pipe or something like that, you give tobacco back. If you pick something up in the woods, you give something back. You don't just take. So, and then in order to, give life back, that's even higher, more valuable to the whole system.
So, would you say when you go to different places, and sometimes, there's a lot of good in a lot of places, but there's also a lot of areas that have had historical harm. What are ways that you find that people within the tribe will determine determine what's needed for that land?
We listen to our ancestors and we listen to our guides. That's plain and simple. You ask upon the creator, your ancestors, your guides to guide you on how to help.
That makes perfect sense. Um, how did the experiences that you had and have, how have they perhaps changed your viewpoint on reality in the context of what maybe somebody who has never experienced the different places that you've gone to and the different experiences you've been through would maybe view it?
It's kind of a tough one there. Let's see here. Honestly, I really don't know how to phrase that one. That's a pretty tough question there. I can look at it basically like as an outsider looking in, they might not understand why I do what I do. So when I actually go to do it, I try to explain to whoever's there, whoever's seeing, this is why we do what we do. This is the outcome of what happens. And this is what could happen if you don't do it this way. You know, just kind of like educate them on the knowledge that I personally have from my own experiences. If that kind of fits the answer to the question you're looking for.
I just realized my mic got muted somehow.
Oh,
um, I would say that that makes sense to me. Um, do what are some examples of what perhaps people may misunderstand about these kinds of experiences? Let's say somebody brand new is coming into um, a space where this is happening. What are some common misconceptions that you see?
a lot of people think that native hauntings are evil or angry. Nine times out of ten, that's not the case. They want to be acknowledged. They don't want to be forgotten. And if they are producing what could be seen like aggressiveness, it's
Mhm.
because there's probably something there that has been wrong that needs to be fixed. Prime example, like we talked about the blood-soaked land.
Mhm.
That might cause a little more higher activity in the house. It might cause something to scare someone a little more. And right away with today's society, when you have something aggressive that is deemed negative, right away everyone's like it's a demon. Well, that's not the case. Our culture, our people were loving, caring. We took care of everyone as a community. Even when the settlers, when they first came over and they were starving, we showed them how to farm our lands. We showed them how to hunt out here. We made sure we fed them when they didn't have the resources to take care of themselves. So, and then over the years, it's kind of been twisted to the point where, oh, it's haunting, it's on an Indian burial ground, and it's evil, it's this and it's that. And it's not the case. They just either want something that's been wronged rightened, or they want to be acknowledged. Because they were here first. Our people walked this continent that we call Turtle Island from the beginning.
That makes sense. I mean, I think it's an unfortunate situation that some people, not all people, of course,
Right.
have the viewpoint that if a place has, native roots, that automatically they're going to have that expression of anger. When, from what I understand, what I've learned, they're they're wanting that, like you said, wanting that acknowledgement, wanting
Hmm.
that understanding, and just are it's sad that people automatically go to the spectrum of this soul is automatically, an
Hmm.
angry individual because of this. It's doesn't make sense to me.
Right. A few years ago, I was listening to a podcast with a demonologist on there. The guy goes, I'll mess with demons all day long, no problem. But you tell me there's an Indian burial ground on there, I'm out. They're mean, they're evil. I'm like, dude, it's not even the case. Come on
Hmm.
now. You're supposed to be professional here.
Yeah, I mean, they were humans, they
Yeah,
they had life experiences too.
yeah. And
So,
when we pass over to the other side, we keep our personalities.
right,
So if we're fun loving and we're all about community on this side, it's going to be the same on the other side, just amplified.
right. Um, Now I do know that you have experience with cryptids.
I do have some.
So I've had one or two experiences with, actually more than that, experiences with them, but I'd really like an understanding of all the cryptid reports you've investigated. What case still keeps you thinking about everything?
Well, there's two of them that are on top of my list I really enjoy looking for and I want to do more work with. Number one, that's Bigfoot.
Hmm.
Um, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Sitanga, Nanti Nook, he's got a million and one different names. When I'm out in the woods, I call him my big hairy brother. That's the way I look at it. And for those that kind of doubt his existence, all I gotta say is look back in our culture, our legends, our lores. He's all over it, and every tribe has a hairy man of some sort. Now, as a people, we didn't talk just to talk. We didn't like have Facebook and just run our mouths because we can. We passed it along in a story, in a lesson, or just even an oral tradition. It's because it's legit and real, and there's something there. So for people to say, "Oh, it doesn't exist," well, then why did we talk about it back in the day? Why is there stories of their youth and our warriors interacting with one another up to a certain time when we split off? You know, so that's one that I do a lot of research up here on reservation now with. I'm every chance I get, I'm out in the woods, whether I'm walking, riding, doing something just out on the old logging trails, all logging roads, watching for structures or signs, or even that one chance road encounter where you catch them crossing. I'm constantly out looking for that. So it gives me an area to kind of dense down to have my experience with them. So I would love the opportunity to become face to face with one and actually open that means of communication with them. And then the other cryptid that I'm really interested in is the dogman,
Hmm.
otherwise known in this day as the Beast of Bray Road, but known as Dogman everywhere else. I'm really curious to see exactly what a Dogman is. If it's possibly a genetic mutation, if it's a true cryptid, is it something that maybe our scientists made back in the day? Is it a government experiment? These are all different things I'd like to know more about when it comes to the Dogman.
Do you think cryptids are flesh and bone, or do you think of them more in the metaphysical or other dimensional aspects?
Both. I do believe that Bigfoot is an interdimensional creature that is flesh and blood. I believe that Bigfoot uses more of his brain than we do. So therefore he's able to tap into things such as being able to bounce between the dimensions. As a medium yourself, you know how to raise your vibration so to connect with the other side. Now, Bigfoot, I believe, when he raises his vibration, he's able to cross that veil. That's how, when you take a picture of him, it's always blurry. It can you see him on thermal 1 second and then gone the next, because that's where he's raising his vibrations, and boom, goes right over.
Yeah, I kind of have the thought form that if we can have multi-dimensional energies,
Mhm.
then it's very possible that uh, you know, Bigfoot could essentially come through one of those portals and then
Yeah,
jump into another one. So that is
exactly.
fascinating.
You see on shows all the time nowadays people talking about how they shifted their dimension. They shifted where they were in their life, and everything else changed dramatically, like overnight and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Well, if we're able to do it as humans, what if we had something that had more a higher brain power and less influence from society saying it's not real? Imagine what you could do. Like, you know, because as we all know, we all grew up saying, getting taught that ghosts aren't real. Bigfoot's not real. No, you can't talk to dead people. And everything in the paranormal was all Hollywood or fake. It never happens. Well, we all know it does. All of it's legit. So who knows what's been brainwashed or washed out of our heads that we can and actually can't do.
There was a question that was asked by one of the guests asking if the dog man is the same as the black dog.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
The black dog that I'm familiar with is what truckers see right before a lot of times when they've been going too hard and too fast and need to get off the road. That's kind of like a tall tale sign. Get off the road before you wreck.
Okay, that makes sense. I have heard of the black dog, but I had never heard of Dogman before
Yeah.
until tonight actually. So,
Okay. Now, Dogman, it's more, a lot of people believe he's more along the lines like a werewolf, maybe, but doesn't change with the moon.
mhm.
It's a canine that walks basically on two legs, big, ferocious, hairy, um, huge compared to your wolves, stuff like that. There are sightings all over Michigan, into Wisconsin. One of the most famous ones in Wisconsin is the Beast of Bray Road, and yeah, do some research there and learn a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll have to. Cryptids are a side of the paranormal that I have heard about, but outside of the experiences I've had, I've never really fully done a deep dive into. So it really is fascinating to hear other people's thoughts on it, because it gives me a possible new perspective.
Hmm.
So uh, that's pretty neat. Are there patterns that connect Bigfoot, Dogman, um, and before I say this word, because I've heard different things, I want to make sure that I address this properly. Um, there is quite a few people that call them skinwalkers, but they also call them something else. Um, reports and other cryptid encounters.
Okay. Well, first off, a skinwalker is not a cryptid. Skinwalkers come from like the Navajo Nation area down in the Southwest. What they
Mhm.
are medicine men who seek a different type of power. They seek that dark magic.
Hmm.
There's things they have to do. They start off being a shapeshifter, where you have to go to the 4 different mountaintops and grab something from the top of each mountain. But the final part is you have to kill something you love. So that's
Mm.
where that evilness takes over, and that's the skinwalker. That's from the Southwest tribes. Now, Bigfoot obviously is considered a cryptid. Dogman's a cryptid. Then you also have up here. Oh, I'm drawing a blank. I'm drawing a brain fart. Wendigos. Okay.
Okay.
Wendigo is not a cryptid, but what it is the story of a Wendigo goes with greed, and basically it starts off, you have a lust or a hunger for something that can never be filled. So as that lust, that hunger keeps going and going and going, eventually, you're always hungry, and then you start gnawing at your lips, you start gnawing at your fingertips. You almost become cannibalistic,
Mm.
where nothing's going to feed that hunger. You're trying everything you can to get to it. So that's where like the lesson of the Wendigo comes from. And is it
So
possible? Yes.
are Wendigos different than skinwalkers?
Yes.
Okay, because of the not
The
the go
the
ahead.
skinwalker is a medicine man basically
Mm-hmm.
practicing dark magic in a
Mm-hmm.
nutshell. It'd be like a variation of a dark witch. It's not the same, but that'd be like the closest I can compare it to in a different culture.
I think a lot of people don't understand that they're different.
Yep. A lot of people group them together. A lot of people all over the country will say, "Oh, I got a skinwalker over here in the Northeast." No, skinwalkers aren't from up here. They're not part of the tribal traditions all around the country. They're just in the Southwest. Now, you do have shapeshifters all over the country, and
Mm-hmm.
people can be confusing a shapeshifter with a skinwalker, but they're not the same.
Right. Well, that actually is even useful for me because the way that I was introduced to it is it was one and the same. So this really helps me to make sure that I'm using proper terminology for different things.
Yep, they're different. Now, like I said, up here, you're up in the Northeast, you're going to have shapeshifters, and you have the Wendigo. Some are the two things. And depends on what tribe you're from and what your belief system is. Depends on if it's the gray emaciated looking one that almost looks kind of like a zombie, or you have the one that looks all evil with the almost like a deer skull and antlers, you
Hmm.
know, but it's one and the same story either way.
Okay, that makes sense. What have you in your own personal experience, have you come across a location that has had skinwalkers before?
Nope.
Okay.
I've never
Okay.
had to deal with Skinwalker. Um, I have a friend of mine from the Navajo Nation, my buddy Hero. He knows a lot about it. And when I wanted to learn more, that's who I went to first. Go, all right, dude, what is y'all's traditions on this? And we broke it down to how there's a ceremony involved, everything that has to happen in order for them to become that skinwalker.
Okay. That makes sense. Um, what would you say has been the most intense place that you have ever personally investigated?
Most intense. That's a tough one. I really don't have really an extreme one, you know. That's another hard question because I can't think of anything really intense yet. I'm still looking for my partner French, but my oh shit moment.
Right.
You know,
Well,
I've had locations that have reached out to me in the past that were kind of negative, not wanting me to come and trying to block me, but I still went and still had a great investigation. Um, yeah, I really don't have anything. It's really intense because it's usually pretty cool.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I think there are different levels of intensity that could be considered for different places, but it may not be like negative. It may
Right.
just be like for example, where the tree was planted, that had to have been like a really deep spiritual, intense, but also beautiful healing for that
Mhm.
location.
Right. Now I've had
Um,
well, one location I did have a lot of activity at, which I was actually really shocked at, would have been one of the local bars and bowling alleys that's closed down right the next town over from where I live.
mhm.
I got a group of friends together, and I had met the owner of the location. I had mentioned how I'm a paranormal investigator and looking for a building to buy, and driven past this building for years, and I was always kind of attracted to it. So he's like, well, let's do a walkthrough. And I did a walkthrough. My head was spinning the whole time. I'm like, I want to come back for doing a proper investigation. Is that possible? He's like, yeah, not a problem. For a location that was been, hold on 1 second.
No worries.
Sorry about that. I had to put my pit bull in place.
No worries. I've had pets before too.
Yep. But we went back and I had some friends come with me, some really good investigators. And this place turned out to be crazy active. Usually when you go into a location, especially for the first time, be the first people ever to try to speak to them, try to interact with them, it's either hit or miss. It's either you get good activity or it's just quiet all night long. So they're kind of just checking you guys out. In this case, we were one of the upper levels and we had equipment set up all around us. It was almost like this place was set up to have bedrooms upstairs, and most of the walls were ripped out, so everything was kind of connected. So you could see 360 all the way around us. The activity was swirling around everything and hitting every piece of equipment over and over again. It would
Oh
stop for a
wow.
little bit, then it would start, and it might hit one or two here and there, and then it'd do a loop. Almost like I almost took it like how the women were back in the old days. You see on the TV where you get unexpected guests, and you're like, "Oh my god, my house is dirty. Let me clean it up." And they're like frantic all around trying to straighten it up because they weren't ready for guests. That's the feeling I got. I felt there was a female spirit up here. Hey, my place ain't ready. No, 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 no. And she's just all around in circles.
Mhm.
And then later on that night, we went down into the basement where the bowling alley was, and it was very quiet. I'm like, all right, well, I start cracking jokes. I'm kind of a wise ass. Start cracking jokes with the people that I'm there with, and all of a sudden the equipment starts going off. They like native humor, I guess. We actually had one piece of equipment go off so long and loud that it burnt out the battery, brand new battery that was put in there. So, so for to have that kind of level of activity, being the first people in this location, I thought it was cool.
Wow. That is really cool. It's always really neat when things like that happen at different locations because it just helps us to verify even more.
Yeah, I use the equipment to verify, what I'm picking up on, what I'm experiencing. When it does do that, it's awesome.
Do you
Now,
think? Oh, go ahead.
let me stop. I see someone had a comment about ghosts and spirits. I'm just going to say like this: a ghost, in my opinion, hasn't crossed over yet. A spirit has crossed over and came back. So that's the difference between the two of them. I didn't quite catch all the comment or question, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Um, it I believe that the comment was along the lines of not believing in ghosts because of let's see here. Here it is. A ghost is someone who has had past from a previous life. So, Tucker, I just wanted to, because I do past life regression work, I will say, at least from my experience, I think that you can be both, because if you think about it, we do have those past life energies that exist.
It's in our DNA.
It's in our DNA, yeah. So coming into spaces, it could be that that specific past life that an individual had, that component is still going through a healing process. Um, and so, I mean, that's just my thoughts on it. What about you, Rose? What do you think about it?
No, I agree totally. I'm with you
Y-
100%.
Yeah. But that's just my thoughts. Do you think that the paranormal experiences and the experiences that we have that are in the metaphysical field of things as well are helping an individual's soul with different components of their um evolution, so to speak, or their soul contracts?
Yeah. Actually, I believe as we have these experiences, there's lessons to be learned from them. And once you learn your lessons, you kind of power up to the next level. And it keeps progressing each lifetime, every time you have your experiences. So, and then I got seen something about deja vu in past lives just popped up here.
Mm-hmm.
I have an opinion on deja vu. Deja vu is points along your soul contract that shows you you're on the right path. It's almost like a checkpoint if you're playing a video game. That's where you get that deja vu moment. You're where you're supposed to be at that moment. That's why it's so familiar.
Yeah, I've heard that deja vu has a lot of physical components that come up with that as well. Like,
Mhm.
um, I have heard that some people have like, well, for example, in the beginning when I would have deja vu a long time ago, I would have like little headaches that would come along with it because it was almost like it was very surreal. So,
Yeah, it's intense. And if you
yeah.
don't know how to process it, your brain's going like, what's this?
Yeah. Yeah. What are some places you'd really like to be able to go to, whether it's connected? I think that the metaphysical and the paranormal can,
They,
work together. But
I would say they overlap.
yeah, what
Yeah,
are what are places you'd really like to go that have that like high resonance for you that you haven't been to yet?
there's quite a few. First off, like we were talking backstage, I would love to come out to the homelands out there in the east, where my people are originally from, and take part and see what's out there on the land in the different locations. To be out there, to be one of the very few and only Mohicans that do what I do, going back and able to give my ancestors a voice. All right. And then, as far as other locations, my number one bucket list is Alcatraz. I want to get locked down on the rock for 30 days and see what happens. Um, see what else is there. I've always wanted to go to Old Joliet Prison, and of course, your big mental hospitals and all that. Um, yeah, the mental hospitals and the prisons are really two of them that really draw me in. I've had family mental issues, myself included. And back in the day, the way they were mistreated really bothers me. And I'd love the opportunity to go and interact with them, give them a voice, and help them any way I possibly can. Kind of relieve their pain a little bit. And as far as the prisons, um, I'm basically the only one of my crew that hasn't been to prison yet that I grew up with. And so that kind of, I've heard stories about things happening and I always kind of wanted to go and experience it. And unfortunately, I was a naughty boy when I was younger, so I had that little F following my name for being a felon. So,
Ah.
in theory, what that is, criminals don't talk to anybody that isn't a criminal. So, you go into prison, you might get some activity, but I think if I went in and they'd be able to see who I am, they'd be more apt to interact with me and answer questions and talk and actually getting that communication going. And we're
I love her question. How are you able to function after this weekend?
hey, that's just a normal weekend for me.
Um, Actually, speaking of prisons, have you ever been to Nevada State Prison for their investigations out there?
No, I haven't. I haven't gone anywhere out west to investigate yet.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Okay. We're gonna have to plan a trip and I'll invite Gwen can come with us and we can get invite a group. But my friend Sue, they do all the investigations at the prison over there. It's
okay,
the abandoned part of the prison and there's crazy activity. I think you would love it.
nice, nice.
Yeah.
I'm actually speaking with a friend of mine about possibly start doing some public investigations and tours at different locations all over. So maybe we could do a collaboration.
Oh, I would love that. That would be so much fun.
You know,
That would be a lot of fun. Hi, Nathan.
Nate, Nate will
Nathan.
actually be on my
Oh,
show
Nathan.
tomorrow night, and
Oh,
then
awesome.
Wednesday night I'll be on his show. So for all you guys, make sure you tune in. It's gonna be great. This is amazing. That's gonna be amazing. Hey, all access. Gotta check all our shows out.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're a big family, so we all got
We
to
are
show support to each other for sure.
exactly
Nate actually was on my show as he was getting ready to join all of you
nice.
for the event, and I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah,
um, but yeah, the prisons are really interesting, and the mental hospitals are really interesting too. Um, And a lot of healing work can be done in those kinds of locations. Now, you had
yeah,
mentioned that you were thinking about starting to do, or you were talking with your friend about starting to do like investigation, open investigation, public investigations.
yeah.
Um, I think that's really cool. Um, on the metaphysical side of things, outs, excuse me, outside of what you've learned in regards to um the the tribe, what are some experiences, growing experiences that you've had when it comes to the metaphysical side of things?
Um, well, a lot of my metaphysical journey has been within the spiritualist church. That's
Yeah.
where I'm actually certified through the Independent Spiritual Association,
Mm-hmm.
and technically, I can teach their courses because I'm certified through them. And a lot of it came from being within the church itself. A as a kid, and B now as an adult, where you go back and you read the contents that they teach, and you kind of go into your own world, and then it's like you see the correlations, and then
Mm-hmm.
you go out and you speak with other mediums and psychics for who learn different ways, and it kind of just all blends together nicely. And that's why I personally I love working with other people because I learn every time I go out with someone else that is sensitive or has gifts or abilities. I pick something new up, something that I don't even think of. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's amazing. And there's some that come back to me, go, I never thought about that. That works, makes total sense. From something that I might do.
Yeah,
So,
like
my growth comes from all over, but it started really with the spiritualist church.
yeah, for me, I grew up in a rather religious environment that wasn't really structured to allow for that.
Hmm.
So, um when I was younger, I definitely broke out of that traditional mold that I grew up in. Uh, and I was kind of more or less like thrown into those experiences without any kind of training whatsoever when I was younger. um, and so it wasn't until I got more towards the age of like 18 to where I could really deep dive and study into metaphysics, but I had to learn some fun growing learning lessons throughout the process
You know.
because I had no formal training. And one of the things that many reasons I have respect for native tribes is that they do incorporate that energy of, understanding the soul and the land and all of those
Mhm.
other components without the restrictions of a specific construct of belief.
Yeah. Now, if you take back, and I'm gonna phrase this, everyone's culture in their past history, everything that the natives pretty much believe in was all in everyone else's cultures also. But unfortunately, as they progressed, it was basically pounded out of them where we were able to manage to fight the resistance and keep our culture as much as possible. A lot of our tribes don't have a culture anymore, so it was basically beat out of them from the boarding school days. Some of us were able to keep ours, so we're still in tune to it. And that's why a lot of different people, if you notice, over the years are drawn to the native culture. Think it's so beautiful, they find so much peace at it because it's already a piece of them from their original culture. It's still in their DNA. They just don't realize
That makes sense because I mean, like we spoke about earlier, the native people were here first, so why wouldn't we have some of those traditional understandings
it.
of that ingrained in our DNA in the beginning anyway,
Yeah.
in some format, right?
Yeah. It doesn't matter what continent you're from. Y'all started somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone started the same way, living off the land, taking only what you need, in growing and farming and gathering. That was natural. Living at one, coexisting with the land. Unlike what
Hmm.
we do now, we kind of just trample all over it.
Right. Um, One of the questions, I did see a question pop up from Stacy earlier. She asked if you could elaborate on the word tangible.
Tangible, which
Uh-huh. I
that's
don't remember what the
physical.
question was.
Yeah. If you can find the question, see what the context, what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Stacy, could you please specify the context that you're asking the question on? That would help. That
Mhm.
would help. Um, let's see. Yeah, like for me, I started out with the basics of Wicca, and then I ended up getting into some of the traditional understandings of root working, and then
Okay.
ended up um, going into, I've kind of got my own path that I'm on to where like
Hmm.
I'm more eclectic and I'm learning from different things. So to me, it's important to understand the traditions um, of a working space in several different areas. Um, okay, so
Oh, that went down.
there it is. Stacy says, I see. So the metaphysical is just another level of energy. Reiki EMFs, auras. As a Reiki practitioner, sensitive and empath, I feel many different levels of energy.
Oh yeah. As humans, we're all energy. Everything around us is energy. Obviously, science has proven that. You're feeling
Oh,
different levels because everyone vibrates at a different level.
mm-hmm.
Mediums, healers, we vibrate a little bit higher than your average Joe. So you're going to get them different levels. Not to mention someone that may be depressed all the time or always constantly negative in life, they're going to be at lower level vibration. So you're going to feel that. Then you get someone that's happy all the time, positive all the time. They're up there on the spectrum because they're letting the light out. They're not always looking at the darkness. So that's the best way I can explain that one.
Speaking of mediumship, when it comes to how you how they present themselves to you, we all have the different senses
Mhm.
and how we connect. How do they present themselves for you?
9 times out of 10, they project stuff into my brain.
Mm.
So the big example is I could be like, I see a gentleman about 6'4", buzz cut, green eyes, scruffy face, standing behind you, have a message. My eyes aren't seeing it. My third eye ain't seeing it. But there's a thought in my head saying, I have seen it, and that description is burnt in there. So, and then occasionally, I'll get a whiff of a perfume or a cologne or a flower or something like that. And then also I feel them as they come close, the energies, the chills, or once in a blue moon, I'll have ones that will come in and it'll be warming. I had one case where it felt like someone came up behind me and stuck their arms over my shoulder and kind of just hugged me up. It was all warm and cuddly feeling. That one was a unique one because when that first happened, that was the first time I've ever felt something like that. It was almost like someone took a heated vest and put it around you.
I was laughing also because of Louis's comment there for you. Did you see it?
No, I missed that one. Louis is a great guy. I just met him in person this past weekend. He's one of the Bearded Brothers.
Oh, awesome.
He was on the show a few weeks ago to promote the event. And man, I bonded with that guy really quick. He's an awesome guy. Great soul. Very good energy.
Yeah, Louis said he's a big guy and he's very handsome and sexy.
Oh, I thank you, big boy.
That's why I was giggling. Um,
Louis was one of our actually winners this weekend for the bearded competitions.
oh,
He won his
fun.
class he was in. Yeah.
Wait, there was a bearded competition? I need to know about this.
Yeah, the Renegade Bearded Brothers had a bearded brawl at Broadhead Manor. It's a fundraiser for charity, and they get together and they decide this year to bring the paranormal into it, try something different. So there were several different classes. They even had a class for kids and then a class for women. Gwen was actually part of the competition for the women. She had a big old long beard, kind of looked like Ewok, in my opinion. Others said she looked like Cousin It. Either way, but it was a great time. Louis and his guys are out there. Freaking Tucker, that's where I met Tucker. He's a great guy. It was awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Uh,
I'll have to maybe see if I can come to the next event for fun.
I'm hoping that they do it again. I hope this was the first annual and it keeps going. So it was a great time. It was a good turnout, great energy. There was no drama like you have at a lot of your paracons. It was literally just fun.
That's how it should be. Should be
It should
fun
be.
and informational.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
What else you want to talk about?
Well, what are do you also read cards as well, like tarot cards as well?
I don't do tarot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of tarot because there's too much structure. And I believe when you have that kind of structure and you got to memorize what every card is, then you're not relying on your intuition. You're kind of just regurgitating what each card's worth, and then you're putting on it, putting
Mm-hmm.
your own personal spin on it. I actually use soul cards, and it's all intuition. There's no structure to it. And when I flip that card, whatever's in that picture is what I pick up on, what I feel, what I see, what my guides tell me. that's what you're going to get. Have you ever seen soul cards before?
Um, I've seen some cards, but I don't know if I've seen soul cards.
All right, here's one of the decks. All
Okay,
right,
I've seen the front box picture, but I've never seen the cards themselves.
all right. There's just one I randomly pulled out of the box.
Oh, that's cool.
All right, now if this was tarot, you'd already know what this means. You
Right.
know, with me now, see if I was reading for you. To me, I'd be like, your guides are telling you stop, slow down for a minute, think, relax, breathe, and then let the information download into you as you progress. Because you see, you kind of got some darkness in there a little bit. As you
Hmm.
progress, you see that light's coming out of the head. To me, that's telling me you're about ready to upgrade. Your abilities are going to get stronger. You just got to find that peace in that time to stop and slow down and get off the rat race in order for it to happen. That's something what I to me right off the top of my head. That's what I get from that card, particularly for you. I don't know what you got going on in your life, how busy you are, but
It's about to get crazy. I mean, we
yeah,
are hitting season, so I'm going to be
yeah.
traveling a lot.
So yeah, just remember to take time. Take that time. Disconnect from the rat race. Find your peace and meditate. Don't forget to meditate.
One of the things, it's funny that you bring that up, but not funny because of who you are, but it's one of those things that when I've been in the midst of crowds of people or big events, when I start to feel like I need to get grounded or centered, I'm reminding myself, even if I don't feel that emotion in that moment, I will at least take a couple of different times to make sure that I am focusing and getting grounded and meditating a little bit to hear what my guides have specifically for me in between so that I have what's necessary to present to the people that are sitting in front of me. So
You know,
it makes perfect sense.
good. That's it's the biggest thing is learning to listen to your guides and your intuition. They'll never steer you wrong. And the problem with a lot of us, we get on that treadmill and we go and go and go and we forget to listen. We just kind
Hmm.
of go with the flow of things and like this is as is what it is, and it's not always that case. It's what we've drawn into our life because we didn't take the time to do what we needed to do to get the proper instructions or the proper guidance.
Right. Tucker is asking, okay, so one of the things that Tucker had brought up earlier
Hmm.
was that part of the reason he feels the way that he feels is because he thinks that the activity inside can be more active based on, I believe it's the moon cycles, if I remember correctly,
Hmm.
versus the outside. My thought process on that is that they're, if they're if they're on the other side, what they may be connecting with is not always it's not going to be affected by the temperature outside or the cycles of the moon. It's just going to be active when it's meant to be, but that's my thought. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts, Rez?
Um, Kind of same along those lines as you are. I've seen nights where we've had a full moon and investigation be pretty dull. Or I've had other nights where full moon and it's active. Personally, I've taken equipment out in the middle of the woods and tested it 'cause I won't test equipment in my own house. Yeah. Coming from a medium, I talk to dead people, but I won't play with the equipment in the house. Go figure. But anyways, so I'll take the stuff out to the woods and I'll play with it out there. Um, you're gonna get activity when they want to communicate with you, when they want to interact with you. Temperature is not going to change anything. For someone that is just sensitive and coming into their gifts that only feel where you get the cold breezes and the chills, that might interact differently because you are out in the cold and you can get a breeze and the temperature isn't controlled. So you might get some false positives or false hits because you there's too many variables there. Where you, if
Hmm.
you're in a closed location where it's temperature controlled, you know a little bit easier if you get that cold breeze out of nowhere when it's normally 90 degrees in the house you're at or in the location you're in. You'll be able to feel it, know that it isn't an open window or open door or a natural breeze of some sort.
Right. I would also say that astrologically speaking, it depends on an individual's belief system and training system with astrology because there are different formats. Some people are very much of the firm belief that everything is affected by, the astrological positioning in within the different houses. And I do believe that our environment is affected by that, but when you're a spirit or a soul or a ghost, a ghost, you're not necessarily going to be going by the same physical timelines that we are. So I
Yeah.
almost wonder if that's kind of what was meant by that question as well. What do you think?
Well, first off, time's a man-made concept. Spirit
Right.
has no clue of what time is. Period.
Right.
Everything's running together on the other side. So there's that, and then far as astrological stuff, that's something I don't really know much about. I'm interested by it. I've heard people talk about it, but I really never really studied into it my own self. So I really can't. I don't feel comfortable properly having say anything on it because I really don't know.
That makes sense. Because it makes sense because I I don't know a whole lot about astrology, but I know enough about it. I have other friends that work at the same place that I do that do astrology. In fact, our store owners are astrologists.
Okay.
But I I know that uh, I know that like oh, here's a question. So in the native culture, do they believe that the sun and I guess it depends on which culture and your background, but specifically with your tribe, do they have a standpoint on like suns and moon cycles and those kinds of things?
There is. I'm not too familiar with the only one that really pops up into my head right away is you only cut your hair on a full moon. If you're
Okay.
truly traditional, that is the only time you're allowed to cut it, or if you're in mourning. So
Okay.
that's some of the beliefs. Um, I'm still learning my culture. I've lived up here since the early 2000s. I grew up in the city. So growing up down there, I didn't have all the culture. And then when I came up, the one person I expected to learn from ended up passing away ahead of time. So I do have a cousin of mine who is our unofficial ambassador to homelands. And I learn what I can from him when we have time to get together. And, as far as the rest is all kind of learning on the go.
Mhm.
There's really not really a textbook I can pull out and study at night when I'm wide awake and can't sleep because all our stuff is oral tradition. Everything's
Mhm.
passed down orally. And half the stuff you read in books about our cultures aren't always 100% correct. So,
Right. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So, if people wanted to be able to get a hold of you, perhaps for a reading or to talk to you more, what's the best way for them to get into contact with you?
well, you can contact me on Facebook, Bobby Resnick Calkins. Otherwise, I have Resneck Inc. INK at gmail.com, Red Road Paranormal at gmail.com. I'm also on TikTok, Bobby Resnick Calkins there. I do have Instagram, but I don't ever go on it, so it's really not good to try to get me on there. But usually I'm on Facebook multiple times a day. Messenger's on my phone, so if you shoot me a message, I'll get back to you as soon as I get it.
Awesome. Well, Gwen, would you like to join us?
Come on, Southern Spice. There she is.
Hey guys, it takes me a click. It just a second. I have to click. So hey Rez, I saw you this
What up?
weekend. No,
Yeah,
not much.
cousin, it was, I think that
I
was
was trying to get
adorable.
the picture because I was going to show everybody, but if you go and look on Sean's show from Sunday, he laughed and made a funny about it, but he had it up there, and I did. I won third prize. That's good. I got some beard oil. I got some beard something in a tin, and then I got some stickers and stuff. So I gave the beard stuff because I obviously don't need it away, but that's
Right.
okay. They can use it, so it's a good thing. But it was fun, you
Awesome.
guys. And it was for charity, and I love the bearded guys,
Yeah.
all of them. Louie, you are awesome. I tell you, he's cool. The other
Yep.
ones I didn't get to know as well. So
Louis is awesome. He's going to be going on an investigation with me in the future.
nice.
So
Nice. Well, maybe I'll get lucky and be up here at the same time because I can't stay away too long from this place up here. So
yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Russ, for being a part of the show. I deeply appreciate you coming on last minute. It
Well,
means a lot.
it was truly my honor. You're one of the shows I have been wanting to come on. It's on our network, so thank you for reaching out to me. So, and then we'll have to have you on Red Road sometime.
I would love that. I
Awesome.
would love that.
all
All
right,
right.
guys. You want me to pull him down real quick? I'm gonna pull you down, Rest. Hang out in the back for a minute, if you will.
Love you.
All right. Well, we want to say, Chris, I know you're feeling a little under the weather. I hope you get better. Hope everything goes well, and he'll hopefully be back next week. And Raven, just by yourself and your guest, you did great. So
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
Lee. I got to meet Lee in person this weekend. That
Oh,
was
that's
cool. Other
awesome.
people too. It was nice. It was very nice.
It sounds like it was a fun weekend. I wanted to jump on to some of the videos that you had that you were going live on with Nate and with Morgan and everyone, but
Yeah.
I was at an investigation myself, and so I wasn't able to kind of jump on like I wanted to.
Right. No problem. You know what? We go live, and sometimes I try to include Raven and when you add people, but you have to go through it, and then it takes a minute, and sometimes you just get off before anybody connects you. That's why I like to go and stay on, and then as long as I can. But sometimes you can't keep the connection if you're walking around. It's a little crazy. So
Makes
you know how it
perfect
is.
sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect
All right.
sense.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. I'm gonna pop down and let Raven totally close it out, and then we're gonna get out of here. Here
Sounds
we go.
good. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in with us this evening. Chris, we do hope that you feel better soon, and we will be back Monday next week, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, with a very, very special surprise guest. So we will see you soon and have a great night, everybody. Bye.